Hi, my name is Ehis Anthony. Welcome to FootyWit podcast. The game week 13 and 14 review. It's been football all the way. We've enjoyed football in the past 2 weeks. The EPL games coming in thick and fast. Week 13 last weekend. Week 13 was played during the week, and week 14 was played last weekend. And I'm not here alone. I'm here with the regular guys. I'm going to cue them in, but you know, the losing streak continues for Arsenal. As an Arsenal fan, it is not going down well for Arsenal. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what is going on. But, you know, we just have to review the games and we just have to talk about football. Like, we love talking about football. So this is the FootyWit EPL review, game week 13 and game week 14. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Ehis Anthony. So I'm going to cue in the guys. Okwe, you can see him in his Arsenal jersey. I don't know how proud you are to still don the Arsenal jersey after disappointing defeats. 7 straight defeats right now. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, the good thing is this jersey.
And I'm also going to cue in.
So this is black.
Yeah.
So let's just.
So I'm going to cue in Chimamaka as well. He's wearing the Chelsea jersey, always showing that he's a Chelsea fan. But, you know, why wouldn't he show that he's a Chelsea fan? It's good to be a Chelsea fan. Happy days at Chelsea, back to winning ways. After the disappointing loss at the Molineux to Wolves, they bounced back yesterday, thumping Westham 3-0. So we're going to go straight. We don't want to waste time. So we're going to look at our talking points. Talking point for today's episode is we're just going to look at, you know, like the normal way we do, look at the top teams. Does Arsenal still fall into that bracket? Well, yes, we'll talk about Arsenal. Either we talk about the big. We tagged it as the top 8, so we're going to look at the eight teams. Tottenham lost. You know, Tottenham lost to Liverpool, and also Leicester City consecutively. That's worrying sign for Jose Mourinho after going top, and before we know it, they've lost 2 games consecutively. Everton also wins 2 games. Good for them. Beating Leicester City and also Arsenal, the top 8 guys. Arsenal, the losing streak continues, like I mentioned earlier before. Wolverhampton, flip-flop performance, beat Chelsea the other day and they had to go and lose to Burnley. Disappointing defeat there. Manchester City scoring 2 goals. In 2 games, that's quite strange. Manchester City are playing 2 games against, you know, top WestBrom down below there. They scored 1. They drew against WestBrom at home. And also against Southampton, they scored 1 against Southampton, winning 1-0. 3 points. But who cares? 4 points out of 6 points. It's not bad. But it's worrying to see that Manchester City, they are not, you know, firing on all cylinders like they did in the previous games where they won 4-0, 5-0 and all that. But it's strange to see. We're going to talk about that. And also Liverpool scoring 7 against Crystal Palace. That game was kind of strange. After Crystal Palace, you know, went down 1-0, they had chances to have, you know, equalized and also take the lead, you know, to have taken the lead. But it's surprising to see what happened. Manchester United slowly creeps into the top 4 with 2 consecutive wins. So, guys, we have a lot to talk about. So let's go. Okwe, where do you want to start from?
Let's start from the top, going to the white half of North London. I'm talking about Spurs. I was disappointed, you know. I've taken or I've been at the top 2 weeks ago. I expected them to just extend it because, you know, every manager, just like Mourinho, who's well experienced in the EPL, knows how crucial the next couple of fixtures are. We're yet to get to the middle point of the season, but then we just have about 3 more games left to go get to the half of 36, and then just bottled 2 games and 2 huge games, in my own opinion. 2 games against people who would who challenge them for a top 4 finish or even for the title. And then I was just wondering, so they can't face the big boys, so they can't go toe-to-toe with the other competitors. And that was a major problem for me. And then I was taking a look at the crop of players who have been playing. It's the same crop of players who have been producing fantastic football for them. So really, what was wrong? One major thing was lack of creation. You know, all of a sudden they start to rely on Harry Kane to also produce goals. I see Harry Kane more of like a Bobby Firmino position. not being in that central role anymore and trying to plug in likes of Bergwijn, Son, and Lucas Moura, but that doesn't seem to be working. Why is that? Because players they're not as tactically aware as Harry Kane is when it comes to those tight positions and trying to find space between the two centre backs or a fullback and a centre back. Worrying signs there for Spurs. Mourinho needs to look for another way to utilize Harry Kane so that he can be more useful for them in terms of scoring goals. I believe that responsibility needs to be put back on him. And then I did say positive sign 2 games ago against Leicester when I saw Dele Alli come up. A bit of a decent cameo appearance, but then he was lackluster against Liverpool. So that's still a major problem. We need to get a midfielder in January who give them a little bit of substance compared to what Christian Eriksen did used to give them. And then talking about Everton, it was a brilliant run of fixtures for them. A narrow victory against Arsenal, but well deserved. But they were the better side. And I was so surprised that they got a victory away at Leicester. No one saw that coming. They beat Leicester in their own home, and no one saw that coming. And that's just to show you how much of a great tactician Carlo Ancelotti is. We know what he can do. We know his prowess. We know what he did with Milan back in the days. We know what he did with Bayern Munich. We know what he did with Real Madrid. And it seems to be that he's just doing an Italian job. And definitely the top is of that. And I'll be really interested to see where Everton will be at the end of the season. It's going to be a top 4 finish. Are they going to probably win the Carabao Cup? Only time will tell. And then I take it back to yesterday, talking about Chelsea. Tammy Abraham, the 2 important goals, not just for Chelsea, but then for himself also. He's been lacking goals, and Olivier Giroud has been saving Chelsea up until the loss, against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Definitely.
Chelsea, they started like a house on fire yesterday. Really. Despite Westham having chances, 2 goals cancelled.
Exactly, but that's what a London derby is all about. A London derby is always unpredictable. You can't say for sure this is who's going to win, irrespective of the quality, the form, or the caliber of whichever squad is playing. Once it's a derby, it's highly explosive, highly unpredictable, and it was a great derby to watch. Actually, Westham could have done a bit more, but I just believe they were just lacking that quality in the final third. I believe if Manuel Lanzini started that game and maybe Yarmolenko, they would have had more chances. They would have taken advantage of the Chelsea fullbacks, talking about Reece James and Emerson in particular, because Benji went off early in the game. So that's something that David Moyes failed to do. He failed to just take that risk, and then he left it too late at the end of the day. But once again, just like I said, very important goal for Tammy Abraham. Manchester United versus Leeds United. For the first time in 16 years, we had that huge fixture in the Premier League. And for those of us that love the English Premier League, if you know back in the days, this was one of the most intense fixtures ever.
Yeah, it was a derby. The derby.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the derby. And one of the most intense fixtures ever. Gets the blood pumping for these players. And also, you see a lot of fights, see a lot of that. But I was quite skeptical about it because, the times have changed. I believe the only person for me in that Manchester United squad who would really understand how important such a fixture was probably someone like Marcus Rashford or Scott McTominay. These are players who have come through the ranks at Old Trafford, and then they are Manchester United boys through and through. So I was just wondering, would they be able to pass that energy through to their teammates and let them know how important this fixture is? Just before the game started, I had the commentator talking about Calvin Phillips and how he said he had a previous chat with him and how he said he has been trying to tell all the foreign players how intense of a game that is. And I saw that straight from the kickoff. But then Manchester United just simply, they dazzled everyone. I was like, what is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doing again? Is he trying to win it? Does he think Marcelo Bielsa and his squad are too good for him to contend with? Because I was wondering why we had Pogba, Van de Beek, Cavani, and Co on the bench, and even Greenwood on the bench. But then it just seemed to be that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got that one right. A brilliant 6-2 victory for Manchester United over Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United. And then, Liverpool just doing the usual things that champions do. They just keep grinding out victories. That's what they did throughout of last season. They didn't really play so much of fantastic football last season to win the league. They are doing it again this season, and they're just running away with it. It's going to be difficult, very, very difficult to get a hold of them and to stop them from winning the English Premier League. But then they did what champions do. beautiful victory away to Crystal Palace. I don't really know what went wrong with Roy Hodgson and his boys. I think they went into the match with the right approach, but after the first goal, everything just went downhill from there. And then Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, a lot is going on in Manchester City right now, and it's really how did they just come up with 2 goals against sides who you expect them to just dispatch away?
Yeah, lower teams. Yeah,
exactly. So I was wondering, but then one major problem for Manchester City over the last 2 years actually has been the unavailability of Sergio Kun Aguero. Aguero has been struggling with so many injuries in the last 2 years, and I believe the coaching staff and the medical team are a major contributing factor to this. Why do I say so? He's never allowed to heal properly. He's always rushed back into action, not enough time to rest, and he's not eased into the team properly. That's just a huge problem for them. They need to do so much more better with that. And obviously, last but not the least, in fact, they are the least at this point. Talking about Arsenal compared to these other teams, Arsenal is the bottom club, and disappointing
relegation battle.
Yeah,
leave the Arsenal. Can we just leave the Arsenal? Leave the Arsenal.
True,
Chimamaka, straight up.
Yeah.
Chimamaka, just do your own quick review of the games that went down, the game within last week and also the weekend, so we can now just go straight to the talking points.
Okay, yeah, there's actually so much to talk about, and there are too many things to actually look into and analyze. The fact that in the past 14 days we had Tottenham Hotspur, who are sitting at the top of the table, but 14 days later they are sitting all the way down at, I think, 5th position. This is looking at the torso in the EPL. It means there is so much more competition that we have presently in the EPL than we used to have. Now, talking about the sports team, they've had 2 straight losses like Chelsea did. These are London clubs who are actually gone into running all the way to the EPL title, but these are challenges that comes their way. Mourinho, as a coach who already has experience in the EPL, should also know that the manner of approach towards the game shouldn't be replayed week in, week out. Why? Because everybody is opening their eyes and their ears to see what you're doing. So they come with their own tactics. All they come to do, that is for Spurs. All they come to do is come and shut down what you've been doing. And I've all through the beginning of the season, we've seen Mourinho actually play tough oppositions, and he has scaled through everything. The only big team I would feel he had a problem with was with Chelsea when they played 0-0. But as it stands, he has lost against Liverpool and he has lost against Leicester City. Now, this only tells you the kind of contentions you'll be facing in the EPL. That's for Tottenham. Now, I would just say a little about Everton. Ancelotti is doing a great job. The motivation in that team is superb. You see that these guys run on the highest amount of speed they can produce for 90 minutes. It's not the Tottenham we saw last season or last 2 seasons, wherein they start the game after they've conceded first 2 goals, they begin to relax. As it stands presently, they are fired.
I'm not going to side with you there. Everton was shit. Please, sorry for that word. Everton were over the weekend. The last game against Arsenal, Everton were not there. Looking at the tactics, looking at how Ancelotti. Sorry for coming into you there.
I'll ask one question. I'll ask one question. I'll just answer this question. Who went with the 3 points?
Just
answer. Who went with the 3 points? That's what I want to get. No, just give me the answer.
To answer you, hearing Arteta's analysis of Arteta has turned into a mathematician, bringing the stats and everything. Yes, Arsenal were not lucky, though. That's the word.
Well, if you're talking about Arsenal not being unlucky, then they've actually been unlucky in 7 losses. So let's not get to that. That is something else. Now we're talking about those who are grinding the 3 points, despite the fact they are playing shitty. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry I'm using that word this time. But as it stands, whoever is the team that is going to be bringing it back home or sitting at home and gathering the 3 points is the team to beat. Either they beat as Everton is, they've beaten Chelsea. It only means they are contenders. There is no small team as it stands. Even Manchester as it stands, Man City is also struggling. Everybody is struggling. They played. Let's not forget that this Southampton team was the team that Leicester City beat last season 9-0. Are we going to rule that out? And Man City found it difficult even keeping that. Yes, they won the game 1-0, but it's not the team we used to see. It only means and tells us that there is more and more competition. Nobody is going to be pushed to the side.
Pushover.
Exactly. Aston Villa is doing the job. These are guys who are struggling in relegation. They've dropped Arsenal all the way down there, and they are gunning for Europe. So it only means now. I said something in the last podcast. You realize the competition we are getting this season. Why? Because from the first position to the 12th position is just 10 points, which wasn't so last season. By this time last season, yes, Liverpool were topping the table, but by this time last season, I think they were already on 7 points advantage over the third position. So that only tells us what it means. Now, this period, you have just 3, 4, 5, and it's the EPL. Anything can happen. Mourinho was 14 days ago. Mourinho was at the top of the table. As it stands, where is he on the table? He's on number 5 or number 6. So, as I won't pick out all these games, I would like you to actually give us time to do justice. I'd like you to give us time to do justice to it. So we've had wonderful performances. We saw the Marcelo Bielsa versus the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and again, that's a game I would actually want us to talk about. But before I get into that, which will be sometime later, I also want to talk about the results that Manchester United have been grinding in. Either they play good football, or they have selection problem, or they have inadequacies with the manager. What they are doing presently is grinding in results, and that is all you need to see from a title winning team, which means it only means that yes, either we play good or we play bad, we are bringing in the 3 points, because as it stands, what really matters is the 3 points. So I will leave the rest for you to let's analyze and do justice to. Well, it's looking like the network is misbehaving. So okay, I would like to quickly ask you this. Yeah, these are the last 2 Manchester United games. What will you say about the 2 games? Yes, they had convincing victories, but in the last game we saw them scoring their first 2 goals in the first 3 minutes, which was very, very outstanding by a Manchester United team. Now, in your own opinion, what do you think can be done to keep this stability in the Manchester United that Manchester United squad, and let the 3 points let them keep grinding in these 3 points? Because we know, and we've also seen that they've not had a stable starting 11. They don't have a steady, especially in the midfield position. They've not had, and the attack, they've not had a stable starting level. You cannot pinpoint that these are the 11 players Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to use. So, with this result that you've brought in the last 2 games, what would you say? What would be your take on these games? And what do you think is the way forward at sticking with the winning squad?
Well, definitely, the first thing is that there is no winning squad. But one thing they can do to ensure consistency is making sure that this crop of players are fit and are healthy. The constant rotation of these players helps to keep the team always fresh. That means that's going to start for Manchester United, coming in with fresh players, and these players are going to be all guns blazing, firing on all cylinders. But then I believe they are taking special care of certain players like Harry Maguire, like Bruno Fernandes, like Marcus Rashford, because even in the goalkeeping section, we saw the tendency coming to. So even they are rotating at the back as well. So, but then another thing is, what is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doing tactically? I believe Manchester United are actually approaching games with the right set of tactics now. For a long time, I would have faulted Solskjaer because I just basically felt like he was not brilliant in terms of tactics. And I began to wonder, is it Mike Phelan that is really pulling the strings for United? Or is it just that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gives these players a nice pep talk before or during halftime and he says, go to pitch, express yourself halfway, But then last 2 games have actually shown that they are actually working hard and then they're doing a lot. You take a look at the game against United, you see a lot of the combination plays that went on, and then you see brilliance in the football, and that is down to one man, Bruno Fernandes. So the question is, what happens when Bruno Fernandes is injured? What happens when he has fatigue? But then again, Manchester United have good midfielders in Paul Pogba and Van de Beek. Now we've seen the relevance of Scott McTominay and Fred. We know the certain types of players they are. We know what they bring to the team. Basically, those are two rugged holding midfielders who would allow the four attackers to go and do damage while they just sit, occupy that midfield, wait to stop the counter attack, and then they also give room for the wing backs to move forward. So we see more from the likes of Luke Shaw, Alex Telles, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So currently, Solskjaer has a good crop of players who is able to manage well. All they need right now is consistency and finding a way to continue to keep their players healthy. That's just one major thing that they do need to do. Is it going to work in the long run till the end of the season? I'm not so sure. I think United will still probably to buy more quality players to bring into the squad, because I believe they're lacking in that right back position. Because what happens when Wan-Bissaka is injured? Diego Dallo is on loan. Timothy Fosu-Mensah is on loan. So basically, Bissaka is the only first-team right back that they do have. Yes, Axel Tuanzebe is there, but he can't really deputize in that right back position. So probably they do need another right back. Also, in central defense, they do need another top-quality central defender. Eric Bailly is prone to injuries. Harry Maguire and Lindelof, sometimes they can be on, sometimes they can be off. So they need one more quality centre back. And I believe Manchester United will be able to do something reasonable by the end of this current season.
Just to touch on the Manchester United versus Leeds United, I was kind of disappointed with Marcelo Bielsa's formation coming into that game. I felt it was a bit naive, coming into such a game of such magnitude. And, I saw it, the body language of the Leeds United players didn't really tell, like people that wanted to play that game. They considered in the first minute of the game, and before you know it, it was all hell let loose, and they started scoring and scoring 4 goals up before they were able to pull one back. It's a worry for me, because Marcelo Bielsa, with the praise, with the adulation being given to him as a manager, bringing Leeds back into the EPL 16 years after them going into relegation and bringing them back to the EPL, you shouldn't be setting up your team like that, because it was. And big up to Ole, because I'm sure he has studied Marcelo Bielsa's kind of gameplay. He has studied his formation. And if you notice, I don't know if you guys noticed in that game, it was like it was 1-on-1. Everybody follow your man. And Manchester United players were able to do that, play against the Leeds United guys. And when they had the chance to break, they kept scoring. It's a pity Marcus Rashford couldn't score, because it was in my FPL team. And I was so angry that he didn't score out of the 6 goals. Manchester United scoring 6, and Marcus Rashford is not even on the list of the scorers, on the score sheet. It was so painful. But guys, what do you have to say concerning Marcelo Bielsa? Is this going to lead? I'm almost blabbing. Is this going to lead Leeds back to the championship if he continues to play this way? If he doesn't tinker with his formation?
I would answer you there. Well, you wouldn't just rule out the fact that they've had some terrible games in the past few weeks. Yes, they are actually going to be getting used to the 2-3 days break in between matches, wherein you have to come on. And but I'm going to be looking at the Manchester United game. In that game, we realized that the approach at which Marcelo Bielsa took into that game wasn't what worked out for him. Why would I say so? He tried to play into United's pattern. Now, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who in the past few weeks we've been asking ourselves questions on either him knowing what he's doing and him knowing what he's not doing. But you realize tactically, he has approached the last 2 games tactically, and he has come out good. In this game,
no, he's been spot on. He's been spot on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's been spot on.
In the game against Leeds United, I believe that The early goals at which United scored was what actually destabilized what Leeds we are bringing to the table. You realize a Leeds team who, after Chelsea, I think yes, they are the top team with the highest amount of sprints in a game in every 90 minutes. So when you realize a team they are work on covering distances in a game, and you are neutralizing them in the first 3 minutes, it brings about a destabilization in that team. So it's what happened. In the first 3 minutes, United has scored 2 goals, which were very, very due to the flat-footedness of the Leeds team. Is what happened. So I believe when they tried to come into the game, they had been beaten outrightly.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where the naivety comes in. You know, you considered first minute of the game. You considered fine. Anything can fall into that situation. Why don't you just show up yourself, show up your defense, try to see how you can get one back? But you kept on coming all out, and we saw how all the goals came in. It was due to counter because they were open.
Let's not forget.
Too open for me, man.
And I believe Okwe will also agree with me on this. If you're familiar with the Leeds United team, they are only very good when they are running on attack. In their defense, they've been conceding goals, which means that they have so much work to do in their defense. I believe at the beginning of the season, I was one of those who are down talking the attack of Leeds United. But you realize that even in the attack, they are doing better. The Patrick Bamford, who I was trying to rule out at the beginning of the season, is actually their highest goal scorer in the squad, which means the attack is doing the job. But where they have the problem is from their defensive line down to the defense. So they've had that issue. So I believe Marcelo Bielsa, for him to remain in the EPL, first thing he has to do, according to Mourinho, who I love actually, you beef up your defense. If your defense is solid, your attack is on point. So when he does that, I believe he would also be in the caliber of big coaches who can actually win games on cruise. I don't know if you understand, but now I believe coming into the EPL is just a wake-up call. A wake-up call by every team. They are going to give it to him actually.
You know,
I don't see him winning any big team as it stands. I don't see him doing that because every team wants to take their name.
I actually have a different.
Before comes in, sorry, nobody. So I just want to say this. Nobody should come with that narrative of Leeds United. They're going to be superb this season because looking at standing in the EPL table, they're just a point ahead. They're just 3 points ahead of Arsenal. The same goal difference, the same games played, and you're telling me, despite how shitty Arsenal is this season, Arsenal is just 3 points away from Leeds United. And people come with this narrative, they're a superb team. Tunde keeps disturbing us on the group. Marcelo Bielsa, greatest manager on earth. If he doesn't show up or tinker his formation, championship is where they're going to next season, man. Okay, you can take it up.
After Arsenal.
All right, so let me tell you something about Eluku Bielsa. The way he played against Manchester United, that's the way he loves to play football. He loves to play a flat 4-3-3. But you see, the difference with what he has done with Leeds United is the way he has molded Calvin Phillips. Now, Calvin Phillips is able to do the dirty work defensively and also provide something going forward. The problem for Leeds United is the 2 centre-backs, talking about the German Robert Koch and his centre-back, his partner, I don't remember his name currently. Now, last season, Leeds United were so much more better with the centre-back pairing because they had a certain Ben White, who is now back at Brighton. Now, Ben White is a 6'3" ball-playing central defender who can do a decent job while going forward and sitting as well. So they need to sort out that centre-back pairing. Robert Koch, on his own, has considered 3 penalties for Leeds United. So that is a huge problem for them. If I take a look at the approach to the game against United and the way they played, I believe amount of responsibility to Manchester United in that game. You can see from the onset the way Rafinha and Patrick Bamford tried to get a goal from the initial kickoff. They showed zero or no respect to Manchester United. And United, being the veterans they are in the league, they humbled them. So I expected Bielsa to actually find a way to make it more compact instead of constantly lounging forward. Forgetting that Manchester United is a team who loves to hit on the counter attack, and that is what Manchester United will still do throughout the game. those 6 goals were as a result of clinical counter-attacking. This is what Ole is very good at with his teams. He has set up his teams in a very beautiful way to always be so dangerous on the counter-attack. I take it back to the game against Leipzig in the Champions League. That's the way they humbled Leipzig in the home game at Old Trafford. Hitting them with 5 goals. No one saw that coming. Of course, obviously, when you have dangerous players who can run, like Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, and Daniel James. Daniel James even got a goal yesterday in the match against Leeds. That's how bizarre that match was. Daniel James scored a goal. But then again, I believe it was simply just down to overconfidence. And going forward, Leeds United, I believe, have the opportunity and they have the chance of actually finishing in the top half of the table, able to sort out that centre-back pairing. It would be difficult, but then I don't see them fighting for relegation. And don't be surprised, they might just finish a place above us this season.
True that.
Well, just hope to see 24 more games and we'll see what happens. But we'll pray Arsenal don't join in this relegation fight, shall, because it's not going to be interesting. Arsenal battling relegation. But quickly, we mentioned in our last episode, I said we're going to have a day where we talk about Mourinho, but I hope we'll have a lot of time to do that. We were praising Mourinho 2 weeks ago. Fantastic manager, sitting on the top of the league, 25 points with Liverpool, and all of a sudden, 2 straight games, 2 straight losses, consecutive losses for Mourinho, and which takes Tottenham to the 6th position with 6 points adrift the 1st position. This is how crazy EPL is. You lose 2 games from 1st position, you drop to 6th position. Crazy, isn't it? But the thing is, we saw the red flags. I said it. I mentioned it.
Yeah, you did.
I mentioned it. That is it possible? I kept asking that question. As a football fan, I've been watching football for a very long time. As a football fan, I saw the tactics Mourinho kept going on with. He could have seen, or his team could have been defeated when he played Arsenal. It's just that Arsenal weren't that clinical and they weren't that good enough. Confidence level was low. And he was able to get one over Arsenal, get one. We saw he struggled against Crystal Palace, got beat by Liverpool, and also got beat over the weekend by, I'm trying to remember who they lost to. But 6 points dropped. No, even 8 points dropped in the last 9 games. He only picked up 1 point.
They lost to Leicester City.
Yeah, he lost to Leicester City at home. Quick, I just want us to look at Mourinho. Doesn't need to, like we were talking about Bielsa. You need to think out your formation. You need to put a little tweak in what you're setting out, in the players you set out in the field of play to win games for you. Do you guys think Mourinho needs to go on that road? Tinker a bit. Chimamaka.
Well, look, okay, yeah, Chimamaka, take off on that.
All right, I would answer that. Why?
I know you're a Mourinho crooner. I know you're a Mourinho lover, though. So
yeah, I'm a Mourinho lover, but actually he's missed it in the past 2 games. And if you've seen a Mourinho, okay, his first time in the EPL, we realized that this is a new guy coming into the Premier League way back 2004. And all he needed to do then was have a very, very solid 15 players that can come in for him and cause damage. Now, this worked for him in his first period at Chelsea. He came back again. He tried to do the same thing. It worked in the first season. In the second season, it worked. Or in the second season, it worked till he was booted out. Now the same thing tried to reoccur at Manchester United. But the problem he had at United was he didn't have loyal players who were going to do that for him. So he lost it as well there. Now he has come into Tottenham. Tottenham Hotspur, he has done one. He has done a full 365 days with them already, which means he already has an understanding of the kind of players he has. Now, with Mourinho and this particular kind of formation, I think and I believe he would actually need to tweak it a little, because what we are seeing is not what we used to see of Harry Kane. Harry Kane is an outright striker. He plays the best of his football in the front of the 18-yard box. But with the kind of style that Mourinho has instilled in the Tottenham squad, you see more of Harry Kane playing behind the center circle whenever they are under pressure. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, but you realize that Harry Kane actually comes in deep to come and receive the ball, which is what he has been using since the commencement of the season, or since he took over at Tottenham Hotspur. But now with what is going on, these losses, I can remember in the game against Liverpool, after the match, he was asked in the post-match conference, and he said the better team lost. I wouldn't agree with that, because we saw that the better team were the team that took the 3 points home. Yes, he played the style of football, but it didn't work. He had an approach. To that game, which was actually neutralized. I wouldn't say they didn't make attempts. They made attempts. Yeah, in every game, yes, there should be attempts. It's not like some Arsenal team that wouldn't have a shot on target in 90 minutes, which is not. I'm not going to get to that. But yes, there were attempts made.
Shots fired.
But the attempts did not result to anything. So, in my opinion, I believe Mourinho, being a very smart manager, should actually bring about a little tweak in the team, wherein when he's under pressure, to absorb, because he's the best part of Mourinho's football is when he's absorbing pressure. But now on the other side of it, when he's going on the attack and he doesn't have a Harry Kane and a Son in the team, what does he do? I don't know if he has sat down to ask himself this question. Some weeks back, before the last 2 losses, we saw Harry Kane actually, who had a knock and was a doubt to that game. Mourinho was sweating up to his balls because he didn't have an option of what to do without an Harry Kane in the team. Eventually, he played the game and he actually scored in the match, which was good for him. Now, we are looking at it beyond that. If eventually he has these 2 players I've mentioned, yes, they've been the most formidable attack option in the EPL entirely, Harry Kane and Son. So if one of these guys should be off, what would he do? I don't have an answer to that. What I believe he should do is also start integrating some of his other strikers into the squad, wherein they would have a blend other than the Heung-min Son and the Harry Kane blend. There should be alternatives. There should be options. In the last few games, you saw Dele Alli feature. I think the last game, not this one, or two games back, where he featured. I don't know what happened. I didn't know why he didn't even appear on the bench in the last.
That was
game.
against Liverpool.
Yeah, against Liverpool. So in this, I believe, despite what Dele Alli would have done, or as the offense he has committed, which I'm not interested in, I believe he should bring back that guy into the squad, wherein if there is no Harry Kane or if there is no Heung-min Son, they should be able to perform, and he should have a change in formation sometimes. That will actually help. I don't know what to say again about Mourinho. If he's going to keep losing like this, I would have to change my godfather in football.
Okay, just to, I just want to chip this in so you talk about it. Do you think Mourinho has any excuse? Because we saw what Pochettino did with this set of players. Even we knew when Poch was there, it wasn't really supported in terms of signing the kind of players that he wanted. Now Mourinho has come in, he has brought in the type of players that he wanted. He has been backed by the management. He has brought in a couple of players. He even brought Bale back into the team. And Bale, nobody has talked about it. Bale has been a flop ever since he came back to Tottenham. I've not seen anything that he has done. Yes, seriously, we need to talk about it. Do you think Mourinho have any excuse to give if things don't turn out well at the end of the season? Because Pochettino was able to use the same set of players to finish in the top 4 for 4 straight seasons, getting into the Champions League final. Now see what is happening to Mourinho, playing a defensive kind of formation that you don't even have a plan B.
First of all, I would say that this was a Mourinho side. This is not a Pochettino side anymore. Why is that? Because Mourinho has had 2 transfer windows to bring in players who seen Region coming, we've seen Bill coming, we've seen Vinicius coming, we've seen Madoherty coming, and then he has offloaded certain players who he feels are not just good enough to be in his team or cannot just contribute to what he wants to do. What Mourinho needs to do is to actually find a suitable plan B. He's too stuck in his ways. Before him getting the Spurs job, he spent at least 8 months out of football. I believe, and then he was doing punditry work. So definitely he was watching games. He was seeing the way the Premier League was evolving. He was seeing the way the Premier League was becoming more competitive. Because right now, I'm absolutely loving the English Premier League, even though I'm because you just can't predict who is going to win. You don't know who is going to score. You can't predict a scoreline. But then you're just seeing beautiful football because teams are actually producing good football. It's not just about winning games anymore. Some teams are also they're just stubborn and bent their way on playing good football, attractive football. Do you understand?
True.
And compact.
Yeah.
So Mourinho needs to find a plan B. What happens when Harry Kane is not banging in the goals? That's the first option. He's playing in the team but not banging in the goals. The match against Liverpool, he was simply off. I believe the creme de la creme of his disastrous performance was towards the last 5 minutes when he was trying to get the ball into the box with his left foot and simply shot the ball into the sky. That's not the Harry Kane you want to see for sports. You know, that's the first question Mourinho needs to answer. What then happens when Kane is injured? You know, Harry Kane brings a whole lot more into the game apart from goals. He brings in the assists. He brings in the playmaking as well. So what happens when Kane is totally out of the squad? And then you have a dangerous son who can be running with the ball at about 6 kilometers on the pitch, like he's Usain Bolt or something. So what happens when you don't have your Korean speedster anymore, who is able to curl the ball from any angle of the pitch? What then happens? I believe what Chimamaka was saying previously is what he needs to do. He needs to start to incorporate the likes of Steven Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, Eric Lamela, Dele Ali, and also Carlos Vinicius, the young Brazilian striker. He needs to get these guys more game time so that in case of incapacity, if anyone is not playing, these players can actually deputize and play good football for him. Because you can't keep running on the same crop of players, especially in this type of season. We know the way COVID has affected the calendar right now. There are always a huge influx of games. I mean, for the first time in a couple of years, we had to play midweek games in the Premier League in the early month of December. Usually, it's between the Christmas and New Year period where we have midweek games. But then, because of the rush of fixtures needing for the Premier League calendar to be regularized, so that when we do start off in 2021, we are now in the second half of the season. Do you understand? So if he can't keep playing this crop of players. He needs to continue to rotate his squad effectively. And these players need to churn out good results for him. Because, first of all, Ole is doing it. Manchester City is doing it, maybe not the best of results, but they are doing it. Everton is doing it. So if your top competitors are, Leicester City is doing it, Liverpool is doing it. The last game, Mohamed Salah did not start that game. And Takumi Minamino put in 2 good goals. That's what the championship team is all about.
Salah even came to score.
Exactly. So you could see that Salah was ready to go and he wanted to play that game. Copen's blazing fire and all cylinders, came off from the bench, popped in 2 goals. That's what a manager wants to see from his team. That is what you should do with your team. Mourinho needs to trust his players more often. Look, this is not 2004. This is not 2005 anymore. You can't keep running with the same engine of Ricardo Carvalho, Joe Terry, Claude Makelele, and Didier Drogba. Look, they don't make them like them anymore. This is a new era of football. You need to have a very decent squad. I was looking at the lineup for the Carabao game going on currently between Brentford and Newcastle, and I must say that Newcastle, for a team of their caliber, they've got a very, very good squad. A very, very good squad because it's not their first team that is currently playing this game against Brentford. You see the likes of Sean Longstaff on the pitch currently, Jacob Murphy, and Matt Ritchie, who joined from Bournemouth on the free transfer. Those are the players deputizing for Newcastle right now, and they're playing a good game against Brentford. Mourinho needs to do better. I believe he needs to actually open up to the idea that other ideas do work apart from the Mourinho way. Packing the bus does not always work. The retention of pressure does not always work because you have some players who cannot just be focused for 90 minutes. Full 90 minutes. Mourinho needs to do better and give these players more opportunities because time is going.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, the network has been crazy today, man. But it's Mourinho. We're just trying to analyze what he has done thus far, and looking at Mourinho, he's that kind of manager that can pull the rabbit out of the hat and give you something spectacular in his subsequent games to come. And because looking at the table right now, Liverpool, they're running away with it despite the issues they have, injury list and all that. But it looks like Liverpool, they're running away with it. But we need this season to be more competitive. It shouldn't be like last season that at game 30, 31, Liverpool were crowned champions. That's not what we want. We want this season to be very, very competitive. And we know Mourinho has a very good team that can give that competition to Liverpool. And, due to time, we would have talked about Arsenal, but we have an episode tomorrow that will be dedicating solely on Arsenal, where we'll be bringing in Arsenal fans to talk about the current, will you call it bad luck, or will you call it misery or shittery happening at Arsenal? We're going to
it's a phase. Don't worry. It's just a phase. It's normal. It happens. They will overcome this phase eventually.
Because I know Okpe is Arteta in. Okpe is Arteta in.
Definitely.
I'm in the middle. I don't want to talk. I just want to wait because really it's getting. This has never happened in the East ever since I've been supporting Arsenal. And Arsenal really need to put a hold to this to stop this rot from happening. Otherwise, it's going to be disastrous. But game week 15, interesting fixtures for us to look at in game week 15, starting on Boxing Day and also on the 27th. A lot of matches, man. When we'll be coming back next week to analyze the game week review, I hope we'll be able to analyze all the fixtures happening because it seems like 2 rounds of games is going to happen. Arsenal 26th, there are games on the 26th, and there are also games 28th, 29th. But we'll see what happens. But interesting fixtures: Leicester City versus Manchester United, Aston Villa Crystal Palace, Arsenal Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Newcastle United, Liverpool West Bromwich Albion, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Tottenham Hotspur. That'll be an interesting tie to watch. Brighton and Hove Albion plays Arsenal in the second fixtures starting on Tuesday, and also Manchester United play Wolves, Tottenham, Fulham, Newcastle United, Liverpool, and interesting fixtures to see. Arsenal were counting down. If you lose to Chelsea, lose to Brighton and Hove Albion,
You guys will lose.
it's going to be sorry for Arsenal. Yeah. But on this note, we just want to round off on the podcast. Do you guys still have anything you want to say to round off, or we're good to go?
One thing to say. One thing to say. The Arsenal game against Chelsea, I see an Arsenal winning that game because Chelsea is good at allowing people break their records on their head. So Arsenal might decide to just bag the 3 points.
Wow.
So I wouldn't. I'll be saying it on the podcast. What I'm saying it with no confidence because Chelsea can come and bottle this, which they're always very good at. So for Arsenal fans, you guys shouldn't rule out the fact that you are having there is this tough time where it doesn't last. Actually, it's just a phase and it's going to pass. But eventually, some decisions will have to be made, either in favor of the Arsenal fans or the pro Arteta or not Arteta, or the pro-Ozil or not pro-Ozil. Decisions will have to be made for this wonderful football club to come back to where we know it to be. But please do me a favor by losing against Chelsea so that we know where the next step will be made at the Emirates Stadium.
We'll be talking a lot tomorrow about Arsenal. We're dedicating the whole episode on Arsenal, Arteta, and the way forward. And also, part of the thing we're looking for next year, episodes we're looking to bring up, new segments we want to look to bring up on the FootyWit podcast is to do the big match preview. Like, for instance, Arsenal Chelsea is coming up in the next EPL round. We just have an episode where we talk about, do a preview on the matches and see and place bets, make predictions, and see who wins, and also come back to the review. So, a lot of segments will be coming up on our podcast for 2021. We hope God sees us and protect us into the new year. But from us tonight, we say thank you for being there. Follow us on our social media platform on Instagram, FootyWit, and on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. From us, from me, Ehis Anthony, to Okbe, and also to Chimamaka. We'll say thank you very much. We'll be here next week. Bye. Peace out.